Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're actually going to be using just internal sounds on the SP404 to make ambient music. Levi is in the chat. What's up, Levi? Levi's been a channel member for, man, I don't even know, like 6-7 months. Really appreciate it, Levi. Awesome to see you here. We've also got Bendu there and Curtis, and the SP404 is and always will be, I'm sure, a sampler. But with the 4.04 update, they added sound generator. So we're actually going to use sound generator and then merge sample, which is another new feature that they added. And with this merge sample, we can get more complex sounding synths by making multi-oscillator synths. So we're gonna do that. I've got a couple of different synth recipes. If you own or have checked out my SP404 cheat sheet, I've got a few synth recipes in there. I'm making some more. And then we're gonna do a little play rate trick on the looper that I'll show you to really do some interesting sound design stuff. So everything's gonna be just internal sounds from the SP404. So yeah, let's get into it. I posted a poll for this, and it was an overwhelming majority wanted to see how this is done. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So let's start, let's get into sound generator to start. So if you're not familiar with it, it's shift record setting. I like to set the level super low because I find this thing runs really hot in terms of audio level. And yeah, so here we go. I think I have a few effects. I'm gonna just shut it, and then we're gonna just be in sound generator a couple different times to make a few different sounds. So for a little bit, it's gonna be a lot of just sound design and copying things. You'll see the workflow is a little cumbersome. It's not the easiest, but that's okay. You know, it's worth it once you get there. So I just found this out actually that, excuse me, that whatever note you hit in sound generator, so you can see here, like right now, 9 is C, 5 is E. If you look in this middle section, you can see it. That's the note that will get sampled when you do copy it to a sample pad. So for ease of reference and chords and all that type of stuff, I'm gonna do C. I'm gonna start with a saw 2, since we're doing ambient, Aphex Twin, I thought, you know, instead of saw 1 or whatever. But let's put that on 1. And then I'm going to copy that, and I'll explain why I'm copying it in a moment. Let's go back in to sound generator, and I'm gonna do cosine. And I think I've got the recipe that I'm working on, the synth recipe. It's cosine 1, which just has a little more character to it compared to sine. So it just gives it a little more. You could even do cosine 2 is, I don't know, not my thing. We're also in octave 2. So let's go make sure we hit C. Put that on 2. Okay, and then let's copy that. Now, the reason that I copied this, we're gonna make a 4 oscillator synth. And so to do that, the first thing that I wanna do is actually do a couple of tweaks to the samples that we're using. So I'm gonna hit this and go, actually let's go to the duplicate version. If we go into pitch speed, hold shift, we can fine tune the semitones. So I'm gonna just put it up, let's say 0.05. Yeah. So hear how it now has a little more thickness to it, a little more character. The other thing that I'm gonna do, since it's ambient, I want the cosine ones to kind of be the major sound. So I'm gonna put these two left and right to get a little more stereo width. So if we hit shift again, you can see pan. We're gonna go right, let's say 22, and left 22 as well. So we're just adding a little stereo width. So this is what it's going to sound like in full. And I'm going to then merge all of these together, and that's shift resample. That did not do it. Here we go, shift resample. Sometimes you got to really make sure you're pressing them at the same time or holding shift. And so we're going to do these two. And then if we wanted to, I could go and lower the percentage of how much it's going to get baked into this merged sample. I don't want to I want to leave everything at 100 this time, so we're just going to do it that way. Once you've got everything set, hit enter, and then choose the pad that you want it to go on. And then you can either hit resample or enter. So I'm going to do that. And here we go. Now, the one thing with sound generator, there's no filter, right? So we have to do the filter as a resample. And I was talking on the Audionautic Discord with Levi actually that I haven't updated to 4.05. So the last live stream we did before I went on vacation, I was the first time I ever got hit with that resample bug was on the live stream. So we might get hit with it. We'll just keep going if it happens. But just if you see that happen, I don't have 4.05. I'm still on 0.4. So we might get hit. So we need to do a little sound design. And so I'm going to put a filter. You can already hear. That's what it sounds like without the filter. Just a wide open filter. Like if you were on a synth and put the cutoff to just 100. So we'll put that on, and if we hold the enter button, you can see you get an LFO that can treat the cutoff of the filter. I use this all the time. I like to set a slow LFO with just a little depth. So basically the filter's just, instead of staying at 40, it's going to like 42 and then 38. And so it's just kind of moving around a little bit. Oh, one last thing I want to mention too before we get too far ahead of ourselves. In Sound Generator, we're back in Sound Generator, pad lengths. So we're doing ambient. I want a very long pad because you can do 2 seconds, you can do much longer than that. So we're going to do that, and then if we want to make a pluck sound or something later, I will lower that. Arshan's in the chat says, have a Mark II, does not seem to have a reset panel. Arshan, I'm not sure what you mean by a reset panel. In what context? Like reset what? In a pattern or... what? Let me know. I'm not sure. And Levi says, "Oh damn, I forgot about merge sample." Yeah, do not sleep on merge sample. I did one of my most recent videos, the 5 underrated 4.04 editions. Merge sample's probably my favorite from that. But anyways, let's get back to this filter now that we've got that. We're gonna resample this. I could add something else. Maybe actually, I like to have a little pitch warble, so I'm gonna do the 404 with no noise, but just to. You can hear it's warbling the pitch. I'm gonna just drop that to like 35. Okay, we're gonna resample. Let's hope we don't get hit with that bug. We'll see. I'm gonna let it go the full duration. Okay, now really quickly, let's go into the envelope, shift pitch. Let's add a little envelope, just a little, or attack, I'm sorry. We'll add a little attack, and then I'm gonna go to the edit and zoom in on the end of it, because as you can see, there's a bit of silence at the end. And what I'm gonna do then is go back and just add some release. So this will take 7 seconds, but if we hold this, first of all, you can see it moving, but it's gonna just go down in volume instead of click. There we go. So that when you're working with a chromatic mode in the SP, it's actually repitching the sample up and down, so the duration of the sample will change. So if we're gonna work in higher pitches when we go into chromatic mode, we want a long time so that it's not super short if we're in like a higher octave. Okay, so that is the sound. Now let's do some effects because we're gonna live loop it. So we don't need the filter anymore. So I'm gonna go Kodama. I think a quarter. Listen to that. It pans it. You should have stereo on this recording because I'm doing a live stream. I think it'll be stereo, but if you're doing this at home or following along, you'll get Kodama has a really nice pan effect on the delay. And we're gonna make this polyphonic by hitting remain a few times to get to poly mode. Okay, I already like that. And I just updated the SP404 cheat sheet with some chord patterns. So this is actually a minor chord. And I think this is gonna be what? G sharp probably? I don't know, whatever. But this would be, this is C minor, this is C major. So if you need things like that, if you want to see the different chord patterns you can do, they're in that cheat sheet. The link is in the description. Channel members get it as part of the membership as well. But let's add some SX reverb, and then I think we're gonna need to lower the volume because the looper records pretty hot as well. So let's get a good bit of SX reverb. And I'm curious, chat. I feel like the one real big missing effect from the SP404 still is a really long reverb. SX reverb is close, but I feel like that's the weakness on the SP is reverb. That's like the one thing I feel like it doesn't quite have. I'm curious if you feel the same. Effects wise, there are things like sidechain and all that kind of stuff that I would love to see. But that's what, when it comes to ambient, it's like the one thing that's missing. I find this Kodama with the SX reverb works well. I was experimenting with bus 3 and 4, adding additional reverbs, like stacking layers, but it didn't quite. It's just those reverbs don't quite do it for me. SX is close. It's the closest they've gotten, and it looks like Levi in the chat agrees and says, "I can't believe how well it does this." Yeah, just wait. It's gonna get crazy once we do this looper. I know I'm talking a little bit, but it's really cool. So we've got the sound. Let's just go in really quickly. I'm gonna drop the volume, maybe 60. And Levi says, "Is that Hadu as a reverb works well?" Okay, we can maybe experiment that with another thing, another sound that we do. You just have to turn down the modulation. Levi says, "Okay, we'll check it out." But okay, I like that. Maybe a different note. Yeah, that should work. Okay, I like that. Let's put that in the looper, and we're gonna go to 80 BPM because when we do the play rate drop, it's gonna drop the BPM as well. Okay. So we're going to arm the recording on the looper. Arshan, this might be of use to you. It looks like you're asking loop on and off for this. The loop on and off is just the record button once the loop is set. That's how you turn it on and off, and if you want to overdub, it's resample. I have a full video on Arshan that might help you. That's all about how to use the live looper. If you go onto the description here after the video ends, after the live stream's over, there's a playlist that's all SP404, and you'll find the looper video in there that covers everything for this live looper. So hopefully it helps. If not, you can catch me in the next live stream or do whatever. Yeah. Okay, so let's go. We've got it set. Let's get into chromatic mode. And I've got it on record wait, so as soon as I start playing, it'll start recording. And I'm gonna let the tail ring out. So did that not take? It wasn't armed. Okay, that's my bad. I did not actually have it armed. My apologies. So we'll hit record wait, then we'll go into chromatic mode. Okay, then we'll be good. There it is. Okay, hear how it's distorting? It's still a little too loud. I don't know what it is with the looper, if that's just it. Mike asks what OS version. Yeah, this is 4.04, not 05. I find the looper even on, I'm gonna just double check. Oh, that's why it's set to dry. Okay, we need to put it to looper, that should help. But I find sometimes when you record into the looper, it's really distorted, especially as you start doing more layers. So yeah, make sure you, it might just be a thing that we get, just we're live, we'll have to deal with it if it happens, but I'm gonna go back into that sample and lower it maybe to, let's say, 40. And then I'm gonna just double check that I don't have anything on bus 3 and 4, because that's another big thing. If you're using the looper, that's an issue you'll have. If there's things on there, it like double bakes it and does all that type of stuff. And he was asking Arshan, yeah, I'm not sure for that one. Let's see, but yeah, Arshan, you should have the internal sounds. If you're on 4.04, you should have a looper and the internal sound generator, everything that we're doing. Levi says the distortion sounded good, honestly. Well, okay, let's see. If I still have it, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll export it, and then we'll do one that's quieter, and we'll see what happens. Because oh, actually, no. What we need to do before we export it, we're going to need to drop the pitch. So let's follow through on this, and then I'll redo it and see. So let's go back to 80, because we need to do this. Oh, it looks like I deleted it already. So that's all right. Levi, I think we'll have to leave that one, because I want to do this trick to drop the pitch in the play rate, because it sounds really good when you do that. So let's let that end, and then we'll hit record arm. Here we go. Okay, that's cleaner. I like that. Sorry, Levi. But I like it a little cleaner. Okay, so then what we're gonna do, I just figured out, I had some help from ChatGPT, but that there's a formula you can use, some crazy math formula that's a bit above my head, but it works. I've put it in the cheat sheet, the SP cheat sheet, but if you change the play rate, you're dropping or raising semitones, right? So if you drop the play rate like we're about to do, you're gonna change the pitch of it. And so I'm gonna set it to, I like usually dropping 4 semitones. And so that formula showed that it's 79.4 is roughly 4 semitones. But what we need to take note of, and I'm gonna write it down, this little number down here, right under the play rate percentage, that's the BPM it changed to. So we went from 80 to 63.52. So I'm gonna just note that down. We can probably get away with 64, but since I think we're gonna make a pattern at the end of this, we'll wanna have it because this is gonna be a loop. So do you hear what that pitch change did though? It's just a little more kind of like, well, one, it changed the pitch obviously, but it slowed the track down. It just got it to sound nice and like just smoother. And that distortion kind of came in, it came back, Levi, because of the artifacting. Like, I like the pitch artifacts that this introduces. And so it's just one extra thing I do, but you have to make note that we've now dropped it 4 semitones. So the chords we were playing aren't going to work anymore. And for my brain, when it's in chromatic mode, I just don't see this as a keyboard. That's why I added those chord charts and stuff. So we'll have to figure out what notes fit and all that stuff. But now that we've got it, let's copy this version and we'll put it here. So because Levi liked that distortion, I have, this was the original. And then with that play rate change, I like that. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, we technically don't need all of these sounds, so we can delete it if we want, but really quickly, before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm going to go to a pattern. What bank are we in? We're in C, so we're gonna go to bank C, and then I'm going to make a pattern, and gotta write it down. I wrote it down, I mean 63.52, that's the BPM we want. So let's go, like I said, I think we could probably get away with 64, but let's hold shift and see if we can get this. Okay, no, we're gonna need to go to 63 and then go up for some reason. Okay, so we can't do 63.52, but we can do 63.5. That should be close enough. Okay, and then we're gonna do 4 bars. Oh geez, that's the one thing that always bugs me, how quickly everything changes. So we wanna go to this one, the middle one. Go to 4 bars, and I'm going to just do a full quantize for right now, because all we're gonna do is hold this pad down so that it just records in here. And we're gonna hit record, and it should be 7. Okay, and I heard a little click there. Let's add some release to this. There, perfect. All right, and it sounds pretty good in terms of the loop on the pattern, so we should be good. All right, let's stop that. Let's get back into Sound Generator, and we're going to do a bass sound. So I've got a couple bass sounds on the cheat sheet, but this is a new one I'm doing. It's not that complex, but it's basically similar to what we already did, but we're not going to do duplicates, but we're going to do a saw and a cosine, and then a couple of different effects like Juno chorus and things like that. So let's get into Sound Generator. Let's do cosine 1, and we need to drop this down. So I don't even know if you'll hear it because this does not have much harmonics in the higher frequencies, but if you're on like headphones, you'll probably catch it. But we'll add a saw and that will work. But we're dropping it to 0, to the octave 0, so we're getting a bassy sound. Again, for anybody that came on late, something I found with Sound Generator, whatever note you hit when you resample it, when you hit record and copy it to a sample pad, that's the note it's gonna make. So even though we've changed semitones and all that, I'm gonna stick with C. Sorry, still getting over being sick. So let's put that in. We'll put it on 9. And then we're gonna go back to Sound Generator. And let's see, on the recipe we've got a saw. So let's do saw. That should work. Now we could even do 2 different octaves. And yes, you're right, Levi. The effects aren't going to get baked in, but you're totally right. We'll shut those off. Much obliged, my friend. Joey says, thanks for the video. Thanks for tuning in. Awesome to see you, Joey. So, does that sound better, Levi? We'll put that on 10. Actually, let me make sure I hit C. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is the 9. The cosine is just adding some low-end subbiness. And then this is adding kind of the higher thing. But yeah, Levi, one thing with Sound Generator, whenever you're baking the sounds, like turning them into sample pads, effects don't have any effect. It's a weird way to say it, but they don't have any effect until you then resample it again. Like I said at the start, the workflow is a bit cumbersome. I didn't design it. I'm just trying to find ways to use it and work around it. It would be nice if you could do, if they had a filter in Sound Generator, it would be nice if those envelopes worked. The envelopes do not work still, at least to my knowledge. So we work around it. We do the envelopes and we do that all after the fact. So it's kind of just like an extra step. You sample the sound and it's going to sound like, you know, not that amazing once you do it, and then you just put it together. But first we got to merge sample. So shift resample, and we're putting these 2 together. I'm going to keep them both 100 again, keep it simple. And let's put it on 11, and we'll hit resample. And that's when you know it's doing it. So there's the sound. Now we need to add some effects. So we're going to go back, put this filter on it, and I might even do maybe a higher depth so it really moves. Yeah, I like that. It's playing with the resonance a little bit more. All right, and then one of my favorite things to do on bass is Juno chorus, and I just don't like the noise that it's got, especially with bass. But it's going to add some width, which could be an issue later if it's doing phase issues, you know, on like a scope or whatever, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So I like the sound of that. Let's resample and hope we don't get hit with that bug. We're going to go the full 7 seconds that we made this pad. And stop it. And Mike, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Right. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but they ask, could you explain when the effects getting resampled or not one more time? Yeah, okay. So basically, if you go into Sound Generator, this is the raw sound, right, that it's creating. No matter what effects you have on bus 1, 2, 3, and 4, when you hit record to put Sound Generator into a sample pad, none of that's going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. Like, none of those effects will be in it. So what you have to do is what I just did. Record it to a sample pad, which all you do is hit record and then choose one and hit record again. And oh, he says it's just Mike. That's my name, so that's perfect. That makes it easy. Okay. But yeah, so back to the thing. When you're doing Sound Generator, if you have a bunch of effects on, like Levi was pointing out, none of those are going to get baked into that sample pad. So when I chose that sound, this saw, I copied it to 10. Here it has nothing. It's going to do that no matter what effects you have on. So then what you have to do is resample it properly, like the old school SP404 MK2 resample method, where you add the effects and then put it to a pad. So we did bake it in already. Okay, perfect. So here's the bass that we made. And I think that's the sound. We've got that pad. So what we'll do is we'll start that pad running. Actually, before we do that, let's go into the record settings for it, because... well, maybe we keep the quantize. I'll lower the quantize. I like a little human error to come in. But we'll see. And Mike says, all clear now, thanks. Okay, awesome. Yeah, if you have any more questions, or anybody, if you have questions, hit me up. That's what the chat's for. That's what we're here for. So I've got a little bit of quantize now. I'm going to do 8 instead of quarter, because if I add anything or something like that, I don't want that to happen. And I'm going to go into rehearsal mode by hitting record. And if you want to arm a track without it playing, hit this enter button and choose it. And you'll see it says like C12. And now if I were to go to chromatic mode, that works. Let's see, maybe 10. Okay, so I want a little more low end on this. So I'm actually going to delete this resampled version. And Mike, just to your question again, I know you said all clear now, but so when I merged those two samples together, this was the sound. We're going to add those effects now. So this is the resample process that we're going to do. I'm going to drop that cutoff a bit more. Maybe tone down the resonance too. And then let's get that Juno chorus back on. Yeah, there we go. I want a little more low end, a little less of that high end. And we could have always just done another resample, but whatever. So let's get this in. And is that Goober? Sorry, I'm having trouble with names today. I apologize. Let me know how to say that. But asks, do you know what is the max time you can set when resampling from Sound Generator? I don't offhand, but we can check it in a second. I'm just making sure that we're going to add some release. I would say always add, oh, well, as you can see, there's a bunch of silence at the end of this. So let's go to start end and let's take out that silence. And the reason I want to do this is because if I were to just add release on that silence, it's gonna pop because the release isn't actually taking effect on the noise part. It's not hitting. So we need that to be there. So there we go. So we'll put that. And then now if we go to the envelope, you'll see that it starts to dip on the actual sound now. So we won't have that click and pop at the end. I like that bass better. Looks like Joey agrees. The Juno sounds nice for that round low end sounding bass. Yeah, I thought that first time it was just a little too much high end. And since we'll probably add another sound and things like that, when it comes to the SP, it's not a DAW, right? You don't have a bunch of options to fix things later. You don't get to see like, oh yeah, I can just EQ what I just recorded, right? So I'm trying to kind of think and mix as I go. And that's kind of the way I like to do it with the SP. You can always change things later and things like that. And one thing that's always works, if you do record a pad in the pattern, not in the looper or something like that, but if you're using patterns and you record one and then you actually don't like the sound of it, but you just resample it again, put that new resample in the same spot and it's all still there, all that information. So yeah. Merrick says, are you someone who does DAW-less SP? It seems like you're pretty efficient. I do it all basically. I do just SP. I do SP with a full DAW-less setup, which is actually broken down right now. I'm going to be rebuilding it after in a video for channel members, but I'll be back to doing my full DAW-less setup. But I also use the SP, as you can see, with just USB-C and connect it with like Logic. I use Logic, but you could do Ableton, and I do a lot of back and forth, things like that. You could do a lot with the SP. There's so many different ways to do it. And Joey says, I like using the warm saturator to add a little more low end if necessary. That works really well. If we need more low end, we'll probably do that. That's what I was actually thinking. So you read my mind, Joey. But for now, we'll leave it at this because I want to do one more sound after this. So let's go back into that pattern. And we've got all the settings still. So let's just hit record and get to chromatic. Let's go into rehearsal. Okay, that works well. And I realize the bass is really loud. We'll lower it. Ooh. Okay, I think... So it's been a minute since I've used the SP. I'll be honest with you. I was on vacation and then I was sick for a week or two. So I want to double... Yeah, okay, perfect. I want to double the pattern. Sorry, I tried to mute it. Didn't work. I want to double the pattern, and I was trying to remember the way to do it. And I think if we go to duplicate it, error, okay. So I don't know why that's, let's see. Oh, here we go. We need to choose the pattern. Okay, so we got to choose the pattern first. That's why it was erroring. So you don't just select it. So let's hit pattern edit, choose the pattern. You can see it's 4 bars. So we're going to hit duplicate. And now it should be 8 bars with that one thing repeating. So, because I'm kind of hearing, I like to, when it comes to ambient, I like to add a lot of variety in the different layers, right? So that loop is 4 bars. but maybe we can do a bass that's 8 bars that has a little more variety to it. And before we do that, let's take that bass volume down because that was pretty loud. Levi says do 7 for the last note. We'll see. I don't know. I didn't really like 7 as the last note. I like it as the second note, but let's see. Let's see. Let's go into this. We'll hit record. Now it's showing 8 bars, and we're going to hit record and go into rehearsal once it's 7 here and 7 here. I like 1, that kind of like descending sound for the first one. And then 10 sounds really good. There we go. You're right. 7 works for that second time through. Yeah, let's get that in. Oh wait, we're on the wrong... Because it's 8 bars, it's all messed up. So let's get back to chromatic. Okay, let's start on the 1. There we go. Okay, I think that's it. Good call, Levi. I forgot that the original loop has 2 different chords as the end, so it worked in that second time through. All right, let's get out of the click track. And we don't have any effects on. Those will come after because since we're not using the looper, whatever effects we have is gonna just treat everything. That's kind of one bummer. I really like when you're using the looper that every overdub you can do different effects, and when you're doing patterns you can't do that. It's like you can't have it both ways. Like I wish the patterns you could kind of do something in that way where it would have like maybe a, I don't know, like a buffer or whatever the word is, but every time you do a pattern you could have different effects. That would be really cool, but it's probably not possible with memory things or something like that. But I would love to see that since you can do that on the looper. But with the pattern sequencer, you have so much more flexibility with dropping things out and copying and pasting. So that would be something I'd love to see. I'm curious what things you'd like to see added to the SP, whether it's a sidechain, which I think we can all agree with, new effects, Levi, right? Reverb. I would like to see that. Anyways, let's go. I'm hearing some kind of like arpeggio that I want underneath it. And I think that's probably it for this track. Nice little quiet ambient vignette. Well, not quiet, but like chill ambient vignette. So let's get back into Sound Generator and see what we can do. So I actually have another sound in my recipes that's using the pulse. So that should be cool. Let's go up. Debating octave. We did octave 2 for the main part, but then we dropped it. Let's do octave 3 and see what happens. So we're going to copy that. We're running out of space on this bank. But we can always delete all those original sounds we can do. So then I'm going to copy this. So we're going to do that trick again where we go into the pitch speed. And what do I have? Minus 0.05. So again, this just is going to thicken the sound a little bit. So we're creating a multi-oscillator synth. Here, if we play it alone, it's cool. But you put it together and it's getting a little more gritty, a little more character to it. And then I also want to just add another sound to it is go back to this and we're going to go to triangle. We could even add a noise just to get kind of like a percussive. Actually, we might do that because it's an arpeggio. Since it's an arpeggio, that noise might give it a nice little transient. So we might do a 4 sound. Let's see. Let's just put that one in. So here that triangle is just adding another little sound. Let's make a noise sound. Well, we're out of space. I'll tell you what. We can delete these. That'll give us a little space. And all those extra bass sounds. Alright, let's try a noise oscillator or a noise waveform. Let's see what we got. And if we hold shift, you can do this duty cycle. Here it gets it a little more, there's a little more noise to it. I think you hear it more in noise 2. But let's do noise 1, and let's put that on 9. And we'll just put that, we could do this in the merge sample menu and just drop the volume. But that's going to just add a little more of a transient, because I want kind of an arpeggio, a little more of a pluck sound for this one. So let's go shift resample, and put that in. Hit enter. Let's go on 5. And there we go. So now the noise is pretty apparent. Maybe too apparent. So let's actually... So maybe dropping the volume doesn't change. If you're doing merge sample, you have to do it in the merge sample menu. So let's do that one more time. And we'll go and lower this one. I'm talking faint. Let's say like 5%. 6%. Because I'm too lazy to get that perfect. Alright, and we'll put that back on 5. And then let's hear what it sounds like. Yeah, you can barely even hear the noise sound. So now we need to get the filter and all that. So I'm going to... I think what I'm going to do, because I want this to be a pluck. Let's shorten... Yeah, I want it really short, and then we're still gonna resample, so it's gonna change anyways, but yeah, that'll work. All right, and Levi says, interesting, but a filter would take that out. It will take a lot of it out, but they'll still be the low end, depending on what we're doing, so you're still gonna get something. The filter's only gonna take out that high end, which I honestly don't want. Again, it's almost more, making me think of Arrested Development, but, well, not seen nor heard, but I want it to be heard, like felt, basically. I want it to be felt, not necessarily heard. That noise is just gonna up the potential for that transient at the start to make it more of an arpeggio. I don't know if it's gonna work. That's not in the synth recipe. I just wanted to add it. It will make it muddy, but we don't have much going on in this track, so I don't mind taking up. And we can always do an EQ. We can use bus 3 and 4 when we do bus 1 and 2 and add an EQ. Do whatever we want. So we could do, look, we could do, actually this might be cool. Let's do isolator, and we'll take out some low end, put the mids to 0, get the highs back, and then let's go to the cassette, and that should work. I always love adding some wow and flutter, and then let's get the filters on. You know, we were doing that Juno. Let's see what happens with Juno. Just a little. I like that. Okay, let's resample and hope we don't hit that bug. Here we go. Okay, so we didn't hit the bug. I don't want to test our luck. That's probably the last resample we're gonna do. And there we go. Let's see, Joey says, a fun drum percussive idea, running percussion noise through one bank with a splice, add some nice percussive parts while the other instruments are consistent. Oh, that is really cool. You put the, like, scatter, the effect, isn't it scatter? Is that the one, or is there a splice one? But, yeah, I could see that. You put noise and it's just gonna, you could just have it, the scatter effect or splicing effect would do the percussive to it. That's actually a really cool idea. Oh, now I kind of want to try that, but I don't know if we're gonna have time. We're already at 42 minutes, so we'll probably do that for a future one. Okay, so look, you can see here. There's actually, let's get back to start end. There's actually a little bit of silence at the start. Joey says that's what it is. Yeah, scatter. Yeah, that's a really good idea. That's definitely something. We'll see if there's some time. We'll throw that in at the end because that could be a cool idea if you put it on like bus 1 and have everything. The only issue. That's the one problem with just 4 buses and only 2 of them are like the performative buses. The bass, the synth, the high end are all going to have to be on one bus. So if I were to do reverb, I guess I could I could put the bass on no bus, but then there's volume things. But we'll get there. I really like that idea, Joey. Let's get there. Let's get this thing in first. Let's see. So here's the percussive sound we got. This was the original without filter and Juno. There we go. And now we need to go to shut off bus 3 and 4. Levi says, I love scatter so much, especially for already glitchy percussion samples. Yeah, the other thing, if anybody's watched that 5 underrated 4.04 update features video that I made, and if not, you can check it on the channel, but the groove function, I don't use it for the groove facet or whatever that it's supposed to be, the thing that it's supposed to be used for, the function, but you can use it to glitch up, get some really glitchy artifacts on a drum track, and then just chop those and sample those smaller sections, and you get some really cool glitch effects. So if you've not tried the groove function, you can try it for that. It's interesting. Yeah, let's go and get this in. Let's see if this works. Let's go to the pattern. And we can also set C major. Should work. I mean, we dropped it. Well, actually, it would be G sharp, but that seems to work. Just listening for the sounds. Okay, so what I want to do, let's get some effects on. So the bass is 12, and it's still pretty loud to me, so I'm going to take it down. That's a little too quiet. I think we were at 60. Let's go there. I think that's the original sound. Okay, so I want the bass on bus 2. For now, if we do that scatter trick that Joey was talking about, we'll change this. But let's just start from here. And on bus 2, we'll leave bus 2 without anything. And we'll just go from there. And Mike says, you don't use truncate very often, do you? Just setting start and end and leave it like that? Honestly, I do if it's like not ambient, but one, this is ambient. I don't mind just setting it. We're not gonna do a lot, so I don't know if it's gonna have any like memory issues or things like that. But yeah, like you put, so less destructive, exactly. I mean, we're just removing noise really, so we could truncate. And the other thing too, I haven't messed with the truncate on 4.04, and since last live stream I ran into a lot of resample issues. I'm trying to do as little as possible while we're live that could cause bugs, glitches, dropouts, and things like that. Because the SP literally, for that resample bug, just shuts off and restarts. And then you have to do all the effects again and all that and that. So I'm just trying to do as little as possible to like upset the SP. Let's keep it happy, you know. But that could also be to its detriment, because without truncating, there's more memory usage or whatever. I don't know. So who knows? But that's the way I'm doing it, at least for this video, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we've got that. Let's go to bus 1. Levi, what was that reverb you were talking about that had like modulation? Was it this Hadu? Let's see. If we lower mod depth, I'm curious what. Whoa. Let's see. Let's do some. I just want to see what happens with this. I do not want all that pre-delay. Let's see what it does. Time. Oh, that's actually. Oh man, that'd be cool for a resample, but I don't think it's gonna be good on bus 1 in total. Let's put on Kodama for right now. You have to turn the mod all the way off, is that what you're saying? Okay. Alright, I just want to see first if this little idea is gonna work. I mean, honestly, I really like just that drone or pad and bass. Like that could be the song on its own, but I'm kind of hearing rally car. Well, first let me just say this. I'm kind of hearing like a quiet arpeggio on top, so that's why I wanted to make this. And then maybe we'll do like a drone or a lead underneath. Rally car says, is there a reason you haven't updated 4.05? Yeah, somebody in the last live stream when I was having those glitches said that 4.05 fixes that issue, but it introduced some other bugs. And I honestly, I came back from vacation a week ago. I've been super sick, and I was back to normal-esque yesterday, and since I was live streaming today, I didn't want to download it and then have issues. So it's really not a function of like not wanting 4.05. Somebody said there's bugs. I can't tell you whether there are or aren't. It's more that I didn't want to have any issues before the live stream today. So I'm going to do it probably tomorrow. So I'll report back in the community posts and things like that if I have any issues. Okay, I want that just real quiet. And then let's get back to that pad, or that pattern. And I'm gonna put the strength for the quantize up a bit. And let's go into rehearsal mode. Okay, let's get out of major because I want to hear. Sorry. I'm hearing. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, I can hear. Okay. I'm just kind of finding the notes here because we did that play rate drop. We know those bass notes that worked, but I'm trying to find kind of the lead that I'm hearing. So I'm gonna just. Mike says when referring to community, you mean on paid membership. You also get exclusive videos. All of the jams that I make on the videos and live streams, you get the full versions of that, and then the samples from all of those. So like all these sounds we made today, they'll be up on the membership. I think it's $1 and $5. The $5 gets all the samples. The $1 gets a Discord channel and the videos. And I also do vlogs. Like I'll be rebuilding my DAW setup. That'll be for channel members, and then all that. So yeah, if you want to help support the channel, that is the best way to do it, or you can look at the ebooks, the SP cheat sheet, and all that. But just hang out, be on the live stream, that's more than enough. So whatever works, it's all good. But let's get this part in. We'll put to recording. Let's get the loop to reset because we're only on 4, and we did that 8 bar, and then we'll be good. Let's get out of that okay, it undid all of it. So let's just restart and we'll start over from there. And actually, we could just copy this later without the live or without the lead, but because there's a way to do that, but we'll just copy and have it. I always like to just duplicate at every stage, even though you can do it afterwards with one of the updates they added. But yeah, Joe asks, Somewhere, can you make the drums on SoundGen 2? Yes, you can. I've had luck making snares and hi-hats. In my video all about the sound generator, I made some, and they're up for channel members too. The kick, I'm still working on the kick. I'm sure you could get a decent kick out of it with a lot of resampling and pitch dropping and things like that. I got a decent snare, and when I say snare, it was more like a rim. But if you add some reverb and things like that, you could get a decent sound. And the hi-hat was really easy to do. You just get a quick second of the noise and then add a ring modulator and put the ring modulator up, and you'll get a really nice hi-hat like real quick. Snare, you can get there. I gotta experiment more, and then kick is gonna take a little more experimenting, but I am working on figuring out some, and I've got the ones that I've figured out. They are in the cheat sheet and they're in that video right here on YouTube. So I think it's called 3 Ways to Make the Most of Sound Generator or something. It's been like 2 months since I made it, so I forget the name. But let's get back to that part. And we should be in chromatic mode. Oh no. I keep hitting 10 and I want to hit 16. Let's just undo that last line and we'll get back to it. not perfect. I feel like there's other notes I would rather do, and we could go into TR Rec mode and change it. Sorry, my mic did not want to unmute. I like where it's at. I thought there's some different notes I would probably rather put in, and like I was saying, we could do TR Rec mode and change the note. But I like that. Let's add SX reverb on the end, bus 2. Okay, I'm just thinking, what time are we at? 10:54. I think that's the track. Honestly, we could add some drones underneath. We could make some drones using merge samples and sound generator. I think it would be nice to have like a higher pitched, maybe the 5th of the key or something, like a drone just going underneath. Some field recordings would be nice, but the whole point of this was to keep it just on internal sounds. So try that really quickly. This is the track. I'm happy with it. I really like the pad. That play rate trick is the way to go. I gotta tell you, if you haven't tried that play rate trick, do it. And then yeah, you just need to figure out the patterns out of it like we did. You'll definitely want to fix the BPM or take that the play rate dropped or raised part, and you can always do chop, and you could do like an auto chop or chop it manually so you get each chord as a single pad. So then it doesn't matter what BPM you set it to because you can just play it to that BPM. So that's another option too. Anyways, let's really quickly go into this noise and let's see which version we like better. Noise 1. It's a little loud, sorry. Or noise 2. And I know those effects are on, but they won't get baked in. Yeah, let's do noise 1. Always drop the octave when it's a sample. Let's put it on 1. Alright, let's really quickly try out that scatter. I like that. That's actually pretty cool. Let's go drop the pitch. Let's see what other, in scatter, what other types. That's really glitchy. And we have depth to 100. We can always tone it down. Okay, so I think 1 is the least glitchy. There we go. Okay. You know what we could do, actually? We don't have to leave it on a bus. We could resample it. Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll see if we can just put that real quiet in the background to add a sort of field recording. And let's, oh, Kodama's on, so let's drop that. Maybe, I'm tempted to add a little distortion, but let's leave it off. And let's just resample it. And hope we don't get that glitch. Okay, so that wasn't a lot of noise to it. Let's try that again. Don't worry about that BPM. Okay, let's stop that and see what we got. Let's go into, okay, so right here, I want to get that first bit out. Let's check if, yeah, there's still a little silence. There we go, okay, and let's try dropping it. Sounds like a mix of rain and early, I forget what, but that early internet when you would sign in. But I think that could work in the background just to add a little depth. Because quiet, it does have a little bit of like a rain effect, at least in these headphones. So that could work. I'm going to delete that original noise sound. So we just have to see. Yeah, dial up. That's it. That's it, Joe. Spot on. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to put that in on the pattern, and then I think we're done. I may... So the way I work, because I know a couple of you were asking about, you know, the way I'm doing, how I work, whether I'm DAWless with the SP, all that type of stuff. This is a live stream, right? So I basically, for the live stream, try to get just the general idea and basic structure. We could copy and make a few different pads and maybe we will, but we are running short on time. But usually after the live stream or after, you know, when I'm making a track, I come back again with a fresh perspective, maybe after a day or something, or after going and having lunch, something like that. And I start building the track, and then typically more parts kind of come to mind, and I add a couple more parts, and then I film the full version or record the full version, whether that's just in the SP, or I add a live performance synth, or I add, you know, like the Digitact and more sequences, put it in the Logic. Sometimes what's really cool is to just make the stems in Logic and then sequence it in Logic, you know, if you want more control, especially for like ambient, and then you can add more sounds. But the goal for this video, as was voted, was to do everything with sound generator and sample merge. So that's why where I would normally add rain or ocean, we've added this noise dial-up almost rain sound. But Joey, that was a really good idea with that scatter. I could see if you did a little more experimentation, maybe put like a drum track on that and add it, you could get some really interesting sounds. And the Twin City says, can you use a sample wave as an oscillator? What do you mean by sample wave? Just like any sample? I mean, or are you talking what we did the whole video with taking sound generator, making waveforms and then merging them? Because that's what we did to make all of these synths were made with sound generator waveforms that I merged together to make a multi-oscillator synth. So everything you're hearing, this is 4 oscillators put together from sound generator. So sorry if I'm not understanding what you're saying, but just if you want to add a little more. But yeah, so I think that's perfect. Let's just get that noise part in, and then we're gonna call this track done. When's the track really done? I don't know, but I think that'll work. And all those effects are off, so it sounds weird. There we go. Okay, let's get those effects back on. And let's get out of that click track. We don't want to scatter. Alright, and now I'm going to drop the volume really quick, because we're going to add the bus 3 and 4 magic. Alright. There we go. So I'm just hearing, mixing wise, this lead is still pretty loud, so I'm gonna tone it down a little bit. Okay, so that's the idea. And Twin Cities, yeah, I saw the message you put, but yeah, so every single track in this that you're hearing is all just from sound generator. Not a single sound was made outside and sampled. So you could sample any sample pad, whatever you have on it, you can use as an oscillator in the sense of merge sample and combine things together. So what I did, I saw that you said that you were late to the thing, so I just took, so this is the lead that you're hearing, right? This lead in the part, that little lead, that was a pulse, a duplicate pulse that I put 0.05 semitones up, and then a triangle, and I merged those together to make a 3 oscillator synth, this one. And then I just added filter and I think Juno to get the final sound. And then now I've got Kodama and SX Reverb on everything. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, you can do that with any sample. You could take a bunch of sounds from like field recordings, merge them together and see what you make. Joe says, have you gotten the 404 to be able to send MIDI notes to other gear? I want to use it as a MIDI controller sometimes, and I can never get it to work. I've always done the opposite. I always send MIDI into the SP because I don't really like its MIDI out capabilities. It doesn't really work for me in the sense of like it doesn't work for my workflow. I would much rather use the SP for all of its long sample time per pad, 32 voice polyphony. So I want, like on the Digitact, I want to have long samples. I want to have extra voices that can play like synths and things like that. So I've always done it the opposite. I have videos on how to set that up. I don't have any Joe on doing the opposite. Maybe that's something I'll make a video for, but just personally, it's never really been of interest to me to use this as the sequencer. Because I don't think the sequencer is as good as something like the Digitact. And I'm not trashing the SP. As anyone that watches the channel knows, I mean, it's like my main thing. But I think it's good to recognize where weaknesses are. And I think the sequencer is functional. It works, like we've made a track and things like that. But there's better things like Digitact or something if you're trying to control a lot of synths and things like that. Plus the Digitact, you can have multiple MIDI outs and things like that. So... yeah, sorry, Joe. I don't typically do that, but I can try. Lastly, Twin Cities asks, can you pitch bend with it? I mean, I guess you could set an effect if you have an effect that can do like a pitch bend, but not like where you have a synth and you're just bending the pitch. You can't really do that. I suppose you could maybe go into, this would be weird, but you could like change the pitch while in the pitch speed setting while live, but that would be weird. But you could probably do it, but you're doing it in semitones, so yeah. And Twin Cities also asks, any thoughts on the MPC update? I really want an MPC, but I don't have the budget or anything at the moment. I didn't see what was actually added with this most recent update. I know they just dropped one. I gotta look into it, but what's your thoughts on it? Do you have an MPC, Twin Cities? If so, what did they add? Does it seem like it's made it a lot better? I saw some thumbnail or titles that were like, makes the Akai Force obsolete and stuff. I have no idea, but I'm curious what they added. I need to check, but I was focused on getting this stream up. Okay, let's drop this noise track even further. I really just want the noise in the background to just add depth to this track. Just needs to kind of be there in the background. Okay, from there, let me just quickly, if I can remember, because it's been a minute, like I said, since I used the SP. What we're going to do is really quickly sequence out the track, and then I got to get going. If you want to see the final version of this track, I will post the full jam to the channel members. But let's just, if we copy a pattern, choose the pad we want to put it to, and then I think it's hit remain. Yeah, you hit remain, you can have, you could choose what pads from the pattern you want on it. So I just want the noise. And if you hold it, you'll hear the sound that you're choosing. I want the pad, and then we're just gonna hit copy. So now we have, that's our intro, right? And then let's go back to this and let's get bass, hit copy, and then the final one is gonna be the full thing. Now, it's been a second since I've done, yeah, here we go. Okay, pattern chaining. Let me know if you've tried pattern chaining if you use the SP. 53% said no, so pretty close. That a good number have used it for generating sounds. If you did vote no, has this changed your mind at all? I actually really like the sound design of Sound Generator. I don't like the cumbersome workflow as we've gone through this whole time. Like if they would just put a filter and actually make the envelopes work in Sound Generator, I think it would be super powerful. As it is, you can do all of that, but it's kind of a weird workflow where you have to make the sound, sample it in, resample it with effects on it, then you'll want to do the envelope stuff, because when you're resampling, you could have silence at the end like we did and things. So yeah, I love the end result. The workflow could use some work. I'm still figuring it out. Maybe as things get updated, it'll change. But I'm curious if this type of stuff has changed your mind, because I really like the sounds you can get with merge sample. The sounds alone per single oscillator are all right. They're all right. But as you start merging them together, like that pad sounds really good, and that play rate drop, getting that pitch artifacting and a little distortion and stuff, just perfect. But anyways, let's just quickly, so 5, 6, and 7 are our patterns. So let's go hold, and that's going to do pattern chaining so we can link the pads together. We'll do 5. Why is it? Okay, I think we, okay. So you hit, and that should be it. And then I think to hit play, it's either, I think you hit subpad. But before we do that, Twin City says, I had an MPC and hated the workflow. Apparently workflow is a bit better. Has an arranger now, very cool. Also has disc streaming. I bought an SP404 recently, but still mostly just use Koala and barely use my SP. I get that. I got a 10-month-old, so I can barely get in the studio, and so I'm usually just on my phone, like late at night, making beats on Koala, and then I move it and do the Koala and SP integration, or you know, something like that, and make the track. So I hear you. I mean, Koala is so powerful. Like with those bus effects now and all that type of stuff, it's awesome. And when you combine it with the SP, with that integration they've got now, I mean, to me, that's like all you need. Yeah, DAWs are great and all that stuff, but like that's an awesome workflow that you can just kind of take anywhere. Anyways, I think we're gonna leave it here. Like I said, the final jam that I make out of this will be up for channel members. All of the samples that we made will also be up for the Solar Sailor tier channel members. And then all of the things we've done, all of the synth recipes, the chord patterns, what chords you can make, like the shapes for each chord on the SP and stuff, they're all in the newly updated SP404 cheat sheet. If you bought it previously, email me. The email's on the About section on YouTube for the update. If you're looking to get it, the link is in the description. It's a great way to help support the channel. There's a lot of really good info in there, and yeah, all of the stuff that we've done is in there, like how to do it. That formula for figuring out the play rate, semitone change, that's in there. From there, let's just play this out, and oh yeah, I got a Digitact video coming out next week on comparing the original Digitact and the Digitact 2, and whether you can get away with getting a used Digitact 1, which is like $400 compared to, I think, $1,000 for the Digitact 2. And then the next live stream will be in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks on Thursday, I'll post a poll for the next video. Really want to mess with Logic for iPad. I've been using it a lot, so we'll see about that. Yeah, and Hector says in chromatic mode, and then there was something else I added. Sorry, I've been streaming for a minute, so my mind's a little empty. But oh yeah, the formula for figuring out the semitone change when you drop and raise the play rate. Yeah, and so that's all there. And then I'm gonna add in a second, so you may want to wait to get the update for a second. All of these synths we made today, I'm gonna add those recipes as well, like the how to make the synth, how to make each oscillator using Sound Generator, and then how to sample merge them, and the effects I added. Those will all get in there as well. What else do we have? Mike says, thank you, very nice one. Appreciate it, Mike. Twin Cities says, thanks for the content, dude. Much appreciate your effort and time. Well, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate that. Let's see. Mike says, please have a look at Loopy Pro for iPad. I'm not sure what that is, but depending on budget, I'll try to get it. But if you want to help support the channel or something, that's what helps me get more things to like demo and trial. The channel members, super chats, all that type of stuff, because budget's a bit of a thing at the moment. So yeah. But I will take a look at it and try to do it. I got a couple of iPad effects from a company called Sketch Audio. They sent them over to me, and one of them, it's called Dr. Vibe. It's basically like a tape and noise emulator, and I'm gonna make a video comparing it with the SP404 to see like if in GarageBand or Logic Pro you can get these sort of like 404 sim sounds. Because what's really cool is it's got multiple settings: noise, vinyl, distortion, and there's way more per setting options compared to like 404 vinyl sim. Like all of the things you can do is way more nuanced. So that's going to be a fun one, but maybe for the next live stream we look into that as well. Tim says, thanks, very enjoyable watch. Appreciate it, Tim. Happy to have you with us. But yeah, with that, we'll be back next week, video, 2 weeks from now, live stream. If you want to see more stuff, channel members, I'll be posting rebuilding my DAW setup. I'm going to add pedals to the bus. I'm going to make an aux channel on this mixer, and I'm going to add some pedals. Instead of the Prophet, I'm going to put some fuzz distortion pedal. No, fuzz delay pedal, and that thing's crazy. So that's going to be in the bus channel for all of my sends and things like that. So yeah, if you want to check that out, that will be for channel members. And then at some point I'll make a video, probably a live stream using it, but just hanging out is of course more than enough. And I'm going to shut off my camera, and I think it's this one, and then we'll jam out. Okay, I think that worked. All right. So I think it's been a minute since I've done pattern chaining, but I think all we have to do is just hit sub pad. There we go. All right. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.